I've got a short statement which I'll read, and then I'm available to take any questions you might have. We welcome that today's court decision has come so quickly because it removes uncertainty about the current funding model. Importantly, today's decision is only about the funding model. While the current funding model has been overturned, in its judgment, the court has made very positive comments about school chaplaincy. The court commented about how desirable it is to have a chaplain's support directed at pastoral care and engagement with the wider community. The court also commented that students would derive advantage from using the school chaplaincy service. Ironically, it's the fact that school chaplains benefit all students and the whole school community that means that the program is outside the Commonwealth's power. The court found that the Commonwealth's power is for particular identifiable students rather than whole school communities. Having ruled out the current funding model, we now look to the Commonwealth to put in place an alternative funding solution. That could well be a system of grants via the states and territories, an alternative which the High Court acknowledged was possible in 2012 and again in the course of this hearing. 3,000 school communities across the nation have voluntarily chosen to have a school community because they see the positive impacts that chaplains have in their schools. Schools, successive governments, university studies have all acknowledged the positive impact that chaplains have for students. We're very grateful now for the court's acknowledgement of this. We're also very grateful for the Prime Minister's acknowledgement this morning of his government's commitment to the program and ongoing support for the funding. And we look forward to the program continuing and to seeing the well-being of students and young people enhanced through their school chaplains.
What does this mean in the short term before another funding arrangement is determined by the government?
So the funding for the current year has been paid and is available for use up until December. So what we're looking at is what this means for the next year's funding program.
Why do you think the states and territories would support the program when they've actually sided with Ron Williams in this case? I mean, it's quite difficult to get funding from the states and territories.
Yeah, so the states did side with Mr Williams in this case. That's because the case was primarily about state spending rights versus Commonwealth spending rights. So from the state's perspective, they were interested in the 400 or so other programs and making sure that they had an opportunity to spend that money themselves rather than it being directed by the Commonwealth. So for them, it was a question of states' rights rather than being an anti-chaplaincy position.
Are you concerned you'll get less funding from the state?
Less funding from the states? From the states, did you say? What was your question? So I don't think so. The state governments and territory governments are committed to the program. All of them have policies about school chaplaincy. All of them acknowledge that chaplains have provided significant benefits. So I don't really see this as making any difference at all to the commitment of state and territory governments under their own funding schemes.
Given that you knew this decision was on the cards, have you had those preliminary discussions with relevant state and territory governments?
In my own state in Queensland, I know that the state government is very supportive of the program. The Minister for Education, JP Langbrook, has been an advocate of the program ever since he saw the benefit of chaplaincy through the Bundaberg floods last year. What he saw in that community was a community devastated by a natural disaster, schools in the centre of the community, chaplains in the middle of the schools, helping people with whatever help and assistance they needed. And he's a strong advocate of the program, and I'm sure in other states and territories that's the case also.